Ay, ay, ay. Just yikes. Ay, Jesus. Oh, my God. Welcome back, folks, listeners. What a messy, chaotic, fun, we have to admit, little topsy turvy Gemini season we're having. I can't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, just Heather.
They say
It's,
Gemini is about duality and choices and
oh, do they now?
adaptability. Yeah.
Well, I hear that, sister, because no, it's not. It's just, there's a lot. There's just been a lot.
Mhm.
And it's,
Mhm.
but you know what? Brat Summer has officially
Yes.
kicked off. Shouts out to Charlie XCX. Just what a moment she really is having and what a moment she deserves. And it's one of those things where, like Chapel Roan, for example, I can see where people get a little uptight and their panties in a wad because they feel like they found her first. But I'm not so Libra. I mean, rigid. When I mean,
Miranda.
I'm just kidding. Shouts out to Alex Nightingale. I love her so much. And she did show me Chapel first. I admit it. God, what does she want from me? Beating the dead horse. No, I'm just kidding. She's like hasn't bothered me about it actually in a while. But like
But
Charlie, it feels more of like a, oh, thank God. Welcome all. Please join us
yeah,
finally. Thank God you all made it. What took you so long to get
literally what
here?
took you so long. But I saw the Charlie concert and Charlie said
Mm-hmm.
like I've been doing this since I was 14 and making bangers since I was 14 or whatever. But I've never received DMs like I am now, and the platform wasn't there, but now it is. And I was just like watching this and like watching this crowd that was like living for her,
God,
and
I can't believe
just
you were
thinking
there.
about like how, but like I think it's a Pluto and Aquarius. I'm just like Chapel
Yeah.
Roan, Charlie, like I also was just thinking like God damn it, like shit really does start with the gays. Like that's what RuPaul and like everyone always says is like even
The
I think my
gays.
mom growing up would be like, yeah, it always starts with like I don't know, the
The
niche and
trendsetters.
then yeah, no, but like for real, I don't know.
No,
I just
it
feel
is. It's
like
such a moment of the divas.
the collective is ready
Yeah.
now for Charlie, for Chapel, for reality TV, for astrology. Hello, I've been here from the beginning.
Please. Please. It is. It's just, it's a beautiful Aquarius time that I think too that like, well, when I mean Aquarius time, we get at Age of Aquarius. I know we're
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Gemini season.
Yeah, yeah.
Listeners,
Yeah, sorry. I'm
relax.
always making it about Aquarius, but come
No,
on.
but it is such a, it like, it,
It
Aquarius is
is
having
a
a
new
moment. And I
era we're
think we're
entering.
really
Yeah,
seeing that the authenticity.
it's
And I
real.
think it's like such a fun thing to watch people grasp that, like, oh, hyper pop music that is like so hyper pop can still be deep. It can still touch on deeper topics. There is still so much depth and authenticity in music that we've been told is more like surface level. I've always hated this idea that because as someone who I think like lets her Pisces sun get the best of her. I love my sappy slow tunes. I love my cool indie stuff that no one else is listening to, right? But like I also have always as a 90s kid loved pop music, loved radio hits. And it's like what a time to be alive that oh yeah, we're allowed to do both. Like who could have thought? And I really love how like the Charlie album to me is such a like in the age where everyone is it's like slay and everyone there's such a joke on the Gen Z culture and the millennials because we're so like haha the future's over like there is no future to plan for blah like if we're gonna keep fucking this up like we're gonna have our fun while we're here is sort of the tone and we're kids forever and Gen Z millennials aren't growing up that right is kind of the whole like joke in it a little bit and yet we can still care about deeper issues we can still
Yeah.
be the most connected we've ever been in an era where technology is around the internet social media everything they told us to be afraid of is actually what is connecting us and making us I think the most humanitarian generations to exist if I may or like
Mm-hmm.
putting that back at the forefront with the help of yeah, if that makes sense. And I just think Charlie's album is such a like representation, like a beautiful, accurate, authentic, weird symbolic representation of sort
Uh,
of a bigger astrological world we're in right now.
totally, totally. And also just I I've also been thinking a lot about like, yeah, the archetype of Aquarius and even Gemini to an extent. And like just the album cover of Brat and how
Yep.
like ugly and simple it, like ugly with
Mm-hmm.
quotes. Like I think
Right.
it's fucking brilliant. But
Right.
like I also love, and I was just watching Drag Race, and there's this queen called Willow Pill, and she like whenever she gets on stage and like the judges were like, "Why did you choose this J Lo inspiration?" And she was like, "Cause I think it's ugly." And like I don't know, that's such a. I also was in a room, without giving away names or anything. I was in a space recently that really triggered me, where I was like amongst these older intellectual artist types, directors and stuff, and we were talking about
Quotation marks.
reality
Strong
TV.
quotation marks. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, we were talking about reality TV came up, and I was like, I mean, I love the Real Housewives, like I love trash. And then this one
No shame.
person was like, "Oh, I do think you lose brain cells." And I was like, well, actually, they like poll the Bravo like viewers, and it turns out that they're like the smartest. And then I couldn't think of like the word, and he was like demographic, and I was like, yes, like one of the most intelligent demographics. And he was like, well, you couldn't even think of the word, so and I was like, the way I wish I could. But like and then
Like talking to
afterward
a
I was
wall,
like, I'm
just a
sorry,
black
but
and white
like
wall.
there is like a level of art and taste that like John Waters, like sometimes things that are so trashy and ugly are actually like
Like if you have like it's the same to me. It's always sort of like it's very similar to people who aren't getting someone doing a bit or doing a skit. Like they don't get the blatant sarcasm or a character that someone's playing to me. And I don't mean this like rudely, but I'm like, oh, like you literally don't have the like this is actually smart. Like you're
right, you
laughing at it because you think
actually
it's
aren't
stupid and you're believing the character. You're not aware enough or smart enough to understand that they're playing a character, that they're making a
literally.
mockery or a joke. In that, like, I know that's a very vague, but it feels like very similarly. Like when
Yeah.
people don't understand reality television in the same way. What this did remind me. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Heather, please.
Oh, I was just gonna say also this morning I was just like going through Instagram, and I saw that Chapel Roan like did a look that was inspired by like the original drag queen whose name I'm blanking on right now, but she was like filth queen, like love filth. And it's like she was wearing something that's like quote unquote ugly, but like I'm just thinking like this is also like an Age of Aquarius but also like Gemini thing to just
Right.
like, and it's so hard to articulate, but just like it, yeah, it's like a intellectual kind of, I don't know, not to
It's not right. Not to sound pretentious
not to sound
and
pretentious, right? But like
like
also this
college
pretentious
graduate.
when they're like you produce brain cells. I'm like, fuck you.
I really that is what is so like okay, so real quick, what you were just talking about, Heather, actually just reminded me of something. One of my favorite shows, and it is super, super not for everyone. I actually really don't know anyone else who watches it, which is so funny. It's really kind of just like I'm the only one in sort of my circle in my realm that watches the show, but it's The Boys. It's called The Boys, and it's on Amazon. And it's based off of a comic book, but a really violent, gory, like rated R comic book. And my boyfriend actually bought it when he knew I like watched the first season of the show, loved it. Like normally don't love the gore, but it's it's like stylistic gore to me. It's
Mm-hmm.
very much Tarantino gore where it's like for whatever reason it's so ridiculous that it's funny, that it's like it's a style that I can like compartmentalize now. And it's almost like it's so big that it's like there's no way it's not Hollywood makeup, and like if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Anyways,
yeah.
but I get that it's not for everyone. I think it's such a cool show. Essentially, for those of you who don't know what the show is, this is part of the context. Excuse me, but it's about superheroes, but essentially super like not Marvel, not
Yeah.
not with the Disney sort of sanitization. it's like very much to me exactly what superheroes would be if they really existed. It would be problematic. They would be too powerful for their own good. They would be on the side that would essentially be wrong for everything. They would be protected when they did accidentally kill people or do all these extra like horrible things that we don't know about, right? It would probably most likely, if we've seen anything with humans who have become powerful, like what are right. So it's kind of funny in that way. And it very much makes a mockery of itself and sort of like the state that we're in the country, which is like
Mm,
very fun about the show.
yeah.
Um, one of the superheroes this season, Sister Sage, is her superpower. She's not really respected and it's not really fun because her superpower is like a lot of them have like laser eyes, can fly, super strength. A lot of little weird like a lot of them are almost like monster-ish in their superpowers. Sister Sage, her superpower is she's the smartest person in the world. And there's a scene where they cut to her after like a long day's work and she's been sort of recruited to the superhero team. Um, she's literally in her room. They all like live in one big, they live at the big corporate like office kind of. And she has like her own like quarters. And they just like cut to the scene and she's watching reality television. She's eating a bloomin' onion from um Outback, right? And she's just having like a rot moment in her sweatpants and like just
Yes.
sort of like, and to me I was like what a funny like sort of showing what like she's the smartest person in the world and she's watching reality television. Yes, it's like her idea of taking a break, but she's enthralled with the TV show and like it's her way of like enjoyment. And I thought it was such a beautiful touch on like whether it was doing this on purpose or not. I was like, see, even the smartest person in the world, according to the show, right, as intelligence as we understand it, is staying at home on a Friday night, eating a bloomin' onion from Outback and watching reality television. Like they're not
Come on.
always plotting and
Yes.
scheming. And again, I think if you're really smart, there are things you maybe sometimes need a break from reality. I think some of the smartest people need like a break from reality. What a beautiful way to do that by like or like again, sometimes my break from reality, this was something I've always said, is performance. What like so like again, I think it's like when you understand that about reality television, then also can adapt it into your reality to observe reality. That's not really reality, but it's like I just don't.
Yeah.
It's just I just wanted to make that point. That's one of my favorite shows, and that moment was
I love
really. I
that.
remember clocking that moment, and then you reminded me of it again when you brought that up
I
because
love it so much. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah,
please, you
I'm
noticed.
on something because of Julia Fox and Charlie like
Oh
talking
my
about
god,
reality
yeah.
TV so much and just
And like I think just the ultimate like again the respect we can have for it's right, it's this world of like it's 2024, people are allowed to be hot, they're allowed to be sex symbols, they're allowed to be
loud
um
and dramatic.
loud and dramatic,
Like
they're allowed to
what's so bad about that?
specifically women we're allowed to take up space,
Yeah.
and we're also allowed to be intelligent in that realm
Right.
and deep and meaningful and like
Mhm.
caring. And it's they these the moment is just so beautiful because it's such a moment of like layers right now. And it's
Yes.
like, I
I
just
just
feel bad if
screamed
you
into the
don't get it.
microphone. Yeah, same. Well said.
Do let's Addison Ray scream at the same time. I'm just kidding. Alrighty, Heather. And with that, shall we move on to our
Yes.
Gemini brat of the episode?
Let's.
Oh, I am excited about this one, Heather. And I realize now also I don't think I did
Oh,
our introductions earlier in the episode. But listeners, again, we're about to go into the our favorite part, really, the whole point of the fucking podcast. Anyways, we're about to do the celebrity charts, but first and foremost, I want to introduce the one and only Heather Cunningham, the astrological navigator of our realm. I've been watching a lot of Game of Thrones. You'll have to excuse me. I'm loving the word realm right now. And me, the little sidekick, the Tyrion to her Daenerys, except Heather has a grip on her emotions.
I
Miranda
don't know about
Linsky.
that.
I was going to say, let me just blow past that. Just kidding. But we're here, folks. We're back. Gemini season is upon us. We've got a Gemini of Geminis coming up. Heather, would you like to do the honors while I pull up their chart?
Yeah, let me butcher this person's name. Um
Oh, I call her. Well, go ahead. Then I'll say what I.
Emily Ratajkowski.
Ratajkowski, I think
Ratajkowski. The J is
is
silent.
the
She's
white girl. I don't
Polish.
know. I don't. It might just be the American white girl pronunciation, though. I'll be honest. Um, but I think she'll say like it's like Rada is like kind of her like or yeah Rada I think is how I see
Yeah.
her name a lot.
Yeah.
Um, Polish I did not realize though. Literally breathtakingly gorgeous. My God,
It's
please.
insane. I know. I was watching videos of her today. I was like, it really is unreal. Like,
She's yeah.
it's
She's
unreal.
it's giving. She
Yeah.
just is giving. She's
And
very
it
gracious to give us
usually
so
we
much.
see Taurus on the ascendant with people like this, but Leo,
Mm-hmm.
she gives Leo rising,
Oh,
Jupiter,
she really
Venus, and
does.
Mars.
Like besides just her like obvious beauty, right? Gorgeous girl. Besides that, like her confidence, the way she walks into a room,
Hmm.
very like
And she's
not it.
willing to get naked, which is such a Leo
Yeah.
thing.
Please, please. The Leos, they love the nakedness. We appreciate it. And that's
A
what we
little
love about our
provocative.
Leos, our
Yeah.
Leo risings. Yeah, no, she is, and in very Gemini fashion, though, also has a podcast and
Right.
very Leo rising about sharing her authentic expressions and opinions, which I love. Her
Hmm.
own genuine honesty, um, which just makes a lot of sense. And so I love that too because like I do think it's a recorded podcast. Thank God she's gorgeous. But besides that, like I find myself really enjoying a lot of her takes. Or like I really she's actually someone that I enjoy. Like not to say that a lot of people have podcasts. A lot of people in the limelight, especially have podcasts, because it's like that's sort of the idea is that you automatically know they're going to do well because they're already famous for something
Yeah.
else and now they have a podcast. But she is someone that it's like I feel like there's some people like or you just know we're gonna have a podcast. She was one that I think kind of surprised me that she had a podcast, and then it surprised me how much I found myself resonating with her and like vibing with this like model who I do not share the same realm. We are not in the same realm, if you will. Yeah, very fun. Let's
Yeah,
that Gemini come on through.
yeah. It's so Gemini for her she doesn't have to have a podcast where she interviews people, but
She does.
she also has Mercury in Gemini, which is Gemini's ruling
Mm.
planet, already dealing with those mercurial or yeah, of course Mercury deals with mercurial.
Yep.
But you know what I mean. Yeah, but she has yeah, these mercurial placements. And yeah, I was doing research on her and she's an interesting person. She went to art school after she
Mm.
already had like a footing in the modeling world. Um, and yeah, then she did drop out because she was like blowing up with modeling.
She's like, have you seen
Um,
my face? I don't
I
need to be here.
know. But yeah, also she wrote a book and
That's
she wrote a
right.
book of essays that have a lot to do with like feminine themes.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't read it, but apparently it's good. I mean, there's a lot of there's a lot of things in this chart that point to a talent with writing.
Mm.
Um and Gemini too, just like communicating. Yeah,
Right.
podcast, writing, it all makes sense. So I feel like, she's more than a pretty face.
Oh, for
As most
sure.
Leo risings. No, I'm sorry.
No, but that's just it. And like again, we live in a time where it's like I feel like we know this, but I feel like a lot of people are still men are still learning this. Not all men, of course, of course. But it is still sort of there's still an immaturity to our society where it can't be the same. Again, like we just talked about all throughout the intro, the idea that like hyper pop, right, and like hot girls can't have anything of substance to say. um Very brat. She's very brat. She very much falls into the brat category. And also I want to just say, as I was looking up her chart, her most like one of her most recent, assuming most recent Instagram post, because it says like 2 days ago, and this is where I got the name Emrata. It is also her Instagram handle,
Oh,
but
okay.
Emrata is the Instagram is her Instagram handle, and her caption is me walking my dog, and it's the same, but it's summer, and I'm listening to Brat, so it's not. So I guess it's like, I think it was just like I can only see like a clip of the photo. I'm too lazy to click the whole thing because I'm
Yeah,
afraid I'm
yeah,
going to lose my
yeah. Oh,
spot
I
with
love
my
that
chart.
though.
But yeah, so she,
I think they're
again,
friends.
yes, if we already, I also think I knew that, but if we didn't already know that she was brat coded, now we of course do. Um, but yeah, just very much in touch with that. Leo rising, I feel, is very strong in her chart, but also, as we talked about this, Heather, the universe rewards you for tapping into your rising. Like when you really
Mm.
sort of bend the knee. I
Yeah.
gotta stop watching
I
Game.
love that.
I'm really in a Game of Thrones hyperfixation moment. But like when you bend the knee to your rising sign, you're rewarded. That's like essentially, it's a great sort of guiding light, I guess, if you're wondering where to start, how to be, what it is that when you want to get, I guess, more in touch with yourself and more connected to the universe. They,
Yes.
the old saying goes.
Thank you for reminding us of that right now. I needed to hear that.
Oh, good.
Um but anyway, yeah, yeah, no, totally. And also she has Aries moon.
I was just gonna say, and then plus her like she reeks of fire respectfully. Like I mean that in the utmost
Yeah, she
respect, of
does,
course. I
doesn't
love
she?
fire,
She
but like
does. Yeah.
she really gives it. And I also, not to compare women, oh my God, but it is kind of like maybe people disagree, but I've also feel like I've seen this online a lot. Her and Kendall Jenner look a lot alike. They kind of do share a lot of the same like
Yeah.
similarities. But the difference to me, Kendall not having as much fire in her chart and that kind of guarded Scorpio, like I think a lot. And again, being famous, you're under a lot of scrutiny. You get a lot of bullshit. People get to comment on your existence, yada yada. Not trying to at Kendall Jenner or say I wouldn't be the same with my Pisces ass, but I think a lot of like her more closed off Scorpio coldness is sort of at the forefront as a protectiveness. And I think naturally, like a fire sign's way of protecting is like, it's like I'm a dragon. So I
Yeah.
protect myself by breathing fire. Like I don't
Yeah.
need to hold my wings and close to myself
Yeah.
to protect my core. If you get close to me or try to harm me in any way, I will blow your fucking ass
Yeah.
away. Like, you know what I mean? I think fire's natural tendency, even if it is, because it's not to say that fires can't be insecure, that they can't have their own, issues and insecurities and shyness elements. But I do just think the way that gets carried and projected is head high, shoulders back.
Mm-hmm.
And the protectiveness part is like never let them see you sweat, sort of way of protecting your
Mm-hmm.
like. And that's like when I am watching a video and my eyes can't decipher if it's Kendall or like
Mm.
it's very much like I'm immediately, I think it's like the body language gives it away, or like the way they're carrying it
Mm.
themselves gives it away. So I
Yeah.
wanted to point that out because I do see a lot of like, they're both beautiful, do not get me wrong, oh my God, they're both
Yeah.
models, like
Yeah.
by society standards they're the queens, but I just more mean like, again, that's how I think it's like, again, it just shows how much confidence or emotion, energy, so to speak, can be carried in the body language as well. How two people can literally look almost identical, but the way they carry themselves also puts off a certain like hotness element or an
Mm-hmm.
essence. Not to say
Mm-hmm.
one's hotter than the other, but you get
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. 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 Totally.
Interesting.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's funny because Kendall also has an Aries moon,
My
but her
apologies.
Scorpio is strong.
Her score, and she, I feel like, really resonates with her Scorpio. Like she talks about it a lot.
Yeah.
And again,
Yeah.
I think like, because she's Scorpio sun, right?
Yeah. I think Kendall actually is a
And
Scorpio
rising.
sun, Aries moon, Aries rising.
Oh
I
my God,
think.
stop. Right, really?
As you were talking, I didn't think that, but just now, I think that is what she is. Or let me see. But
Interesting.
you're right. No, because
But like in
I
the
agree
same
with
way,
everything you said.
I still think it applies. I'm like, let me shift it again and make it
I mean,
seem good.
Scorpio is so different from Gemini. Air and fire
Right.
is so different from a
Well,
Scorpio is
and
it's
to be hosting and have your own podcast, as we can attest, right? That is putting yourself out there. And a lot of times it's like that the channel for putting yourself out there is very off the dome, talking in the moment. Like the amount of shit Kendall gets from her reality television show, no wonder this bitch isn't really going to put herself out there in any like excessive way. She even gets shit for not being on the show enough. Like people
it's
give her
also
shit, like they don't see enough of her and Kylie. And so whereas like Rod is like putting herself out,
yeah.
like in other ways too, writing a book, doing a podcast, like
Yeah.
that I think also speaks in itself in big ways.
Yeah, and she wanted to model and she was always like comfortable with, I guess her parents are artists and she was like exposed to like nude photography from a young age and she was always like comfortable putting herself in like those positions and like
Mm-hmm.
using her body for art and whatever. But
And it's the same way the elements
Kendall,
connect too. Like, sorry, I'm so sorry, Heather. Last thing
it's
I'll say.
okay.
Like, again, Scorpio, I feel like connects to the greater masses and the people by being mysterious. And it's
Yeah.
very much a testament of like how they do choose to let people in. It's like who's
Mhm.
willing to swim down to the depths with me. Whereas I feel like Gemini is more of a like, well, let me put this out there. Let me voice these opinions. Let me voice my inner
Yeah.
thoughts, and whoever responds is get like it's I think also a different way, like again the way the elements connect differently,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. Sorry, please
Totally.
go
No, it
on.
does. It does. I was not this is even necessary, but I was just going to say that I think it's like insane actually that like Kim wanted to be a reality star, but like Kendall, little baby Scorpio, and Kylie with her Scorpio moon did not ask for that shit. Like cameras
Yeah.
were just put like anyway.
And
Back to
also
Emily.
similarly with last thing I'll say, but then we will absolutely go back to
This
Emily.
is so Gemini.
I know, but and it's in the season, right? We
Yeah.
must, but and it's half my fault. But it's like the same way. And yes, I think Kylie, even again, we really never see her sweat about like, or I feel like not
That
that we don't see her
Leo.
sweat, but she's the Leo, I think, can embrace the fame and the reality life a lot
Yeah.
easier and better than Kendall could,
Yeah.
even though they both got kind of dragged into that life, didn't necessarily choose it. With Kylie and her sign placements and her
Yeah.
elements, it's no wonder she was able to still like sort of adapt in a way that it's got to be hard to be a Scorpio on reality
It's gotta be
television.
so. I mean,
I mean,
they
look at Courtney, and
sometimes
she only
thrive,
has
but
Pisces moon,
I know,
right?
I
Like, and
know,
look
I
how hard
know.
she deals with the fame. But anyways, okay, sorry. Back to the
Yeah.
Gemini of the hour.
What was I gonna say? Oh, I was just watching an interview with Emra. Yeah,
Emrata.
Rada.
We'll call her. I'm like Emrat.
Emrata.
Emrata.
Um,
Alex will let us know.
she was saying that when she first started doing the podcast and like speaking publicly and stuff, that she was very insecure about every, am I saying too much? Am
Mm,
I, not sounding smart enough? Yada yada
right.
yada, which I can relate to. And then she eventually
For
was
sure.
like, fuck it. Um, and she
Love
also
that.
said that she doesn't love writing, like the act of writing, but she
Interesting.
does it anyway. And
Wow.
well, or like she I guess like before she had a kid she was writing every day, um which I think too is such a testament to the
Right.
Gemini and Leo energy needing a outlet. Like Gemini
Mm-hmm.
needs to communicate, Leo needs to express and feel seen, so it's
Yeah.
like even so much that you might not even like the act of it, but like you
Right.
need that release.
It's right. Interesting.
um yeah, but it's it's also interesting. Aries moon. She has Saturn in the 6th in Aquarius, which would mean that like her
Uh-oh.
day-to-day life and work and like that's like your day-to-day routines and
Mm-hmm.
work, not necessarily like your career and reputation, but like that there's been some struggle or restriction and that opposes all of her Leo placements.
She talks
Um
about balancing. I know this from like very minimal episodes I've listened to from her podcast. I
yeah.
got into her podcast, like I didn't even realize she had one until I got into my, as we all know, went down a rabbit hole with was just drinking in Julia Fox.
Mm,
I didn't realize I was preparing myself for Brat Summer is all, but I was just like digesting everything Julia Fox, read her book, then listened to the audiobook, was watching like every interview she had kind of done recently and just kind of ever, and just got really, really into her. And that's where she's on Emrata's podcast. Both brats. Julia Fox is in the music video. Very cute. Love that. And she's like
I'm
literally the
so
line, I'm
Julia.
so Julia. Slugs. Anyway. God, I love slugs. Let's
I
bring that
know.
back. Bring it back.
Slugs.
I think I'm like, let's just bring that over to America.
Yeah.
Um, anyways, they both talk about motherhood, and M talks about like how it's she struggles with like she hated having, I think she tried for a long time not to have a nanny is what she was saying, but then eventually just like had to with like balancing. And I think again, like exactly like in order for her routine to feel like her still in her own, like that's got to be so hard to like in the, it's already, motherhood's already a bitch, but then like put in the fact that like the demand for like the demand that you also need in her realm of her world is very much like needing to be seen for her career as well.
Yeah.
Thank God that kind of is in flow with her chart, because I think
Mhm.
it's really hard for famous people whose chart isn't like that, but you know, became famous anyway. But like, I feel like she is someone who adapts well to fame as best as you can, really, because it's really not a normal thing, but still balancing that motherhood. That was like really
Mhm.
interesting for her to talk about too. And I
Mhm.
think really relatable to a lot of moms, even again, if you're not, you can have all the help in the world and it's still, it's fucking motherhood. Like that's just, I think that's the whole point. And anyways, just wanted to
Yeah. Yeah.
throw that 2 cents in there.
Totally. Um, she must be like our age, right?
She's
'Cause
33. I think
oh,
I just
okay.
saw.
Because she also has Pluto and Scorpio, which people our age have, and then the Uranus Neptune conjunction in Capricorn, like people our age
91.
have.
She's, yes,
Yeah, that makes
91.
sense.
Sorry.
And Saturn and Aquarius. Yeah, yeah,
33.
yeah. Um, yeah.
That
I don't
is,
know.
no,
Her
I'm just like also, I'm trying to think too, because I feel like Emrata, when I think of her, besides like what I do know, like the recent interviews, her podcast, she's really not like, she's Leo and she's hot and we know her, but I don't feel like she's really in the light in a negative or so, or like she's obviously a celebrity and a famous person. Like, am I just under a rock? I'm sure I'm just
no, no,
maybe
no,
have missed
no, no,
things.
no. I don't think you are. I was gonna say it's interesting. I don't think she was talking about the Robin Thicke thing, that's how she, from being the Blurred Lines music video,
That's
that was sort of
right.
like her
Her
first.
big start, or like where she was
Um,
seen.
but was that, I feel like when that video first came out, the collective wasn't like, this is a problem. It took a
Oh
second,
no, yeah.
right?
It was
It took
definitely, and I think it
years.
got, I maybe it wasn't Me Too, but it definitely got, I don't know if that was the first time it ever kind of got looked at as more of like, this was maybe
Yeah.
weird and not okay and not cool. But I feel like Me Too really, really made us extra
Yeah.
aware. Like I want to say that that like resurfaced in Me Too in a big way.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, but yeah, other than that, I feel like she doesn't have. I know that in this interview I was watching, she was talking about how I think she's gotten like shit for not being like a, a feminist in the way that people want her to be or something. But
Oh, and this is real quick too. I wanted to add this. I forgot I wanted to say this too. Um, so yes, so she shot to fame after strutting topless in the Robin Thicke's music video for his 2013 hit Blurred Lines, and has now said she only started modeling to save cash to fund her
right.
creative ambitions.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, she went to art school. She was like, it's gonna be my side hustle.
And she said, I didn't want to be famous. I had no plans. And again, but as someone who like fell into it and sort of just does adjust like well to that lifestyle, I think it's that
Mm-hmm.
fire essence.
It's
Even
that
if like,
Leo.
yeah, they can just like kind of adapt and take on the like, well, okay,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'll be that person if you need. Very interesting. And also was born in London, but to Americans and then grew up in California.
Right, right.
But like definitely feel like Leo has just like it wants to like has a need to be seen. I feel like Leo especially gets its kicks, right, Charlie, from being seen in a hot way,
Yeah.
but being able to still express depth. That is so like,
Yeah.
again, it's like fire makes a big scene, but
Mm-hmm.
it's like it's fire. There's like there's a lot there. Don't
Yeah.
forget underneath it
Yeah.
all and in between.
Yeah. Well, and it's
Amazing.
opposite Aquarius, and Charlie and Emily have like an Aquarius placement that's opposing it. That's like
Mm,
intertwining those Leo placements.
yeah.
Yeah.
It is just so like I kind of love that like as a society, just like we had Barbie summer, we're having now like Brat Summer, which like, you know, it's not like it's its own movie and it's not like it's even trying to compete with Barbie. It actually is very Barbie too, but it's like brat. And it's like instead of the again, I love the messaging behind Charlie is so hot. Yes, hot women on the covers of music albums tends to usually do better or sell more, but that's just it. It's like it's such a hot, deep fucking Gemini album in the way like what a time for it to be released to and the Gemini need to like let's talk about shit but like let's shake ass while we do it. Like that's such
Mm-hmm.
a I just love
Mm-hmm.
that where now the girlies get a Brat Summer following the Barbie Summer. You know, like it
Mm-hmm.
really just does feel like the Age of Aquarius is for the girlies.
Yes.
Age of Aquarius is for the brats. Gemini season's for the brats.
Mm-hmm.
Like
There's got to
everyone,
be an astrologer on her marketing team.
you think so,
I
right?
do.
I know
Yeah.
you stand by this, but like, yeah, I well, and also I would think Charlie herself is
Yeah.
also like she's an astrological bit like
Her
Gemini
chart
switching
is on,
sides.
yeah. Well, her chart, and I want to be careful when but like astrology is a lot bigger in not only London, but also India. And her mom
Mm.
is Indian. She goes to India
Oh,
a
that's
lot to spend
right.
time
That's
with her
right.
mom. So I would think that it's been a part
Something
of her
that's been like a
life
part of her
because
life
it's
for
just such a
yeah.
part of the culture there. But yeah, also her whole natal chart is online, which isn't always common. Like even Casey Musgraves, who like has songs about astrology, like her full chart wasn't always online, but Charlie.
Mm.
So I'm sure. And the way they talk about it on the astrology podcast, it makes me think that like there actually are, I need to get into this line of work, but that there actually are like astrologers, at least that they like consult for the release. I mean, the way the Barbie movie was released during the Venus
Mm-hmm.
retrograde, it's such a no, I think that they consult astrology.
Yeah. It was so funny because I did hear that or like I guess because what's his face? Christopher Nolan has done a lot of movies with Warner Brothers. So like the idea was that but Barbie was a Warner Brothers movie. So there was like this idea that the reason they were both released on the same weekend was the studios were competing with each other.
Right.
But I was like, I don't think Barbie needed to compete. And I'm no offense, but I just feel like the marketing for that movie, like to me, Barbie was never like worried about, and also I don't even really think Christopher Nolan needed to compete that much. Like I get if he's trying to like pull, if he was trying to pull ticket sales, it clearly didn't work, which is like a beautiful thing. I'm much more inclined, of course, inclined to believe that there's actually an astrologer, and it was discussed. You're not like the only person who has said that.
Oh
There's like
yeah.
discussion around its release. To me, Barbie didn't need to, I mean, who really knows? But like, I prefer to believe and in my guts and bones feel like Barbie was always for the girlies. Astrology is for the girlies. Not that the boys can't get in on this, please. They're more than welcome. I wish they would. But again, it just does feel like what a masculine energy thing to say to assume that the
Right.
studios were competing. I could see that absolutely Hollywood is very masculine, as is the world, but there's something so beautiful about Barbie still I guess I don't know if it like beat it out necessarily, but we didn't talk about Oppenheimer summer, just saying. Like
Yeah,
we didn't
that's
dress
true.
up as atomic bombs to like go to the theater for Oppenheimer. Okay, we wore pink
That
and
is
we all went to
funny.
Barbie. Okay, just
That
saying.
is funny.
And
Oh
my
my
HBO
God.
Max app shut down on Christmas time around Christmas when I was home trying to watch it with my mom because I think everyone around Christmas was like watching it. It was such a family like
Oh,
movie, I think too, and it came out on streaming around that time, so it made sense that and like the app was crashing because so many people were watching it. That didn't
oh,
happen for
funny.
Oppenheimer, just saying.
Yeah.
But you take that Oscar Oppenheimer or whatever the fuck. I don't know if Oppenheimer did they fully get it. We
I don't know.
digress.
I'm
Fuck the
over the
Oscars, fuck the
Oscars. Yeah.
Grammys, fuck the billboards,
Yeah.
slugs.
Fuck it
It's Brat
all.
Summer.
Yeah.
Emrata gets it.
Authenticity.
The listeners
Mm-hmm.
get it. We get it, Heather. Shall we move on to these? To the Brat Summer transitions, to the Brat transitions.
Yes.
It's Brat
Yes.
astrology.
It's
Brat
Brat
astrology.
astrology.
Brat astrology. I can't do it. Go
Yes.
on. Bratology. Bratology. Go on.
I love it. Um, Yeah. Okay. So today, as we're recording this, it's the 19th. And then tomorrow, today is actually the last day of Gemini. Tomorrow, on the
I knew that.
20th, the summer solstice, we enter Cancer.
Uh-oh.
I know. I'm
Just
kind of
kidding.
ready for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so about to be in Cancer. And I do believe that yeah, Mercury is already in Cancer. So we have
Mm,
had a touch of water already. We've dipped our toes in.
we've gotten a little,
Um
we're in the wet zone.
yeah, yeah. But then Venus, Mercury, and the
The
sun.
wet zone. I meant splash.
Yeah, wait, I
Go on, go
totally just
on.
like let that go over my head. That's so funny.
Like it's got summer in the wet zone. Slip inside at my thighs. Juicy, just like clementine. Go on, go on. I'm sorry.
Yes, yes. Oh my god. Yeah, so as the sun, Venus, and Mercury enter Cancer, they make a square to Neptune at the end of Pisces, which is why
Mm,
all the astrologers are saying this like mid-June period is especially, you could say, romantic. Everything is romantic.
okay.
Um, but also um also a little bit like with Neptune and Pisces, there's sometimes confusion or like
God damn it, Pisces.
I
Sometimes I'm
know.
embarrassed. Go on.
So it's after Gemini of being very cerebral, we enter Cancer, but also with this like transition that's very Neptunian and Pisces that
Mhm.
might make things a little bit foggy. Depending on where this is all happening in your chart, that will dictate like what area of your life it's affecting, but that's something that astrologers have been talking about. Um and yeah, then we have a Capricorn full moon um on 2 days after the solstice. So on the 22nd. And the full moons always involve the opposite sign as well. So, we move into Cancer, then we have this Capricorn full moon, and it's really going to bring the Capricorn Cancer polarity to light. And I've been
Mm,
thinking about this a lot lately, how like Cancer is about mothering yourself and giving yourself those inner child, needs from the maternal archetype, but then you also need the Capricorn and you need to father yourself. And so
right.
that is going to be the main theme of the Capricorn full moon on the 22nd. And I do
Mm.
believe that it is aspecting Neptune as well. So there's like a Piscean sort of how do you say,
Dreamy, like
dreamy tilt
feet
to
not maybe
it.
on the ground-ish,
Yeah,
sort of head in the
exactly.
clouds vibes.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, a more
Imaginative.
universal
Wins.
existential energy
Mm.
to it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The darker side.
Yeah.
The darker side of
Have you thought
Pisces, I
about
see.
death?
Oh my God. Every fucking day. Anywhoosie. Yeah. What a sometimes Gemini to Cancer does feel like such a clash, but this makes sense that this sort of end point of Gemini hasn't. I feel like when we came into Gemini, we definitely felt the lightness,
Mm-hmm.
and not that it's super heavy and that Cancer has to be unbearable by any means, but it makes sense that this sort of end time in the Gemini season has definitely felt a little more, has a little more depth and gravity pulled to it now that we're sliding down into Cancer. And then again, it's ebbs and flows. And don't forget, too, Cancer out of all the waters is very much a more internal sort of expression and feeling in an, not turmoil, but a lot more of like an internalized, that's got the protective outer shell. So
Yeah.
maybe just you never know what people are going through as well. The
Mm-hmm.
energy should just be like kindness to all, of
Mm-hmm.
course.
Mm-hmm.
Be gentle, but also don't let go of your brattiness when you have
Mm-hmm.
to. And
Mm-hmm.
the brat is still strong and true.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just excited that I feel like this is the start of brat. I'm interested to see like every element and every sign go through its brat year. Really feels
Yeah.
like brat has set the tone. We're still early enough in the astrological year that it feels like brat still is very much the
Mm-hmm.
message of the of every season.
Yeah. Well,
Doesn't
Jupiter
have to
and
be just the summer.
it got released right as Jupiter entered Gemini, which spends
Like, it's
it's going
not
to
a
be there for like a year.
coincidence. Yeah,
So it
it's not a
does. It's so not a
coincidence.
coincidence. Come
It's not
on.
just a moment. It's a big moment, but
It's the
I think
collective
it's,
working
yeah.
through Miss Charlie.
I just can't. I know this episode's about Emrot, but I also just think this episode is dedicated to the overall Brat umbrella. But
Yes.
just truly shouts out to Emrata, shouts out to Charlie, Julia, all the girls. I just, yes, this is the album of the year, bitches, not just the summer. I really feel it in my bones.
Oh yeah.
Gemini, it's been a bratty season. We've loved it. I'm excited for Cancer, but with the brat asterisk. So
Yes, I like
we
that.
can look forward to that.
I like that.
Beautiful. Listeners, we love you so much. Go forth and go brat. All right. Infinite abundance. Brats never get stressed about their abundance. Brats only look to astrology to help them and to guide them. They're not scared of it. Brats create their own energy, take matters into their own hands, use astrology as a guide. We are acting through our rising age of Aquarius. We're bratting. It's giving cunt in the best way. Fuck the bullies and the haters.
Fuck the bullies and the haters.
The brats are here. I love you so much, Heather.
I love you.
Love you, listeners.
Love you, listeners.
Love this podcast. Love the summer of the brat. Let's get it.
Bye.
Bye.